Man, the more I play New World, the more I can't wait for this new expansion to come out. The artifacts are going to have a huge impact on buildcraft. I put together a Rapier musket build on the PTR that I really liked, and I think that's what I want to run when the new patch comes out. But I've lately been playing my Firestaff Rapier build again, and I miss this build. This is basically my main bay. I have the most practice on this build versus any other build in the game, and with the new patch, oh my god, I've got a lot of juicy artifact options. And something that I wanted to take into account with these artifacts is I'm not going to be able to get my hands on all of them right away, but some are going to be easier than others to get. So I wanted to talk a little bit about theory crafting with the new patch, especially kind of early day 1, day 2, day 3 theory crafting, and what are we going to have access to. So let's talk about the first artifact that I think most people will get their hands on, and that is the Tumbler Boots. They're light armor boots, and they give you a pretty sizable damage and fortify buff when you dodge an attack. Not to mention they've got Shirking Heels built into them, which is very, very buffed in the new patch. I think Shirking Heels is going to be very meta in PvP. But I think for a light armor build in general, these are going to be really good boots. I would actually love to try them on this build because how I want to build my Firestaff Rapier coming in the new patch is a lot of AoE burst, and yeah, the Tumbler Boots are going to play into that very nicely. Next up on my list is the Attuned Leather Pants. These add a ton of max stat to all of your different stats, including a lot of max stat to the Magnify stat of choice, giving plus 50. And the big advantage of these guys is that you can get really easy access to all of the different 25 jump points that are going to be coming with the new patch. And some of them are very useful. I think the 25 focus jump point, especially 5% cooldown reduction with how good refreshing is going to be on the new patch, is going to be fantastic for basically any build in the game. Not to mention having that 25 points in strength, even though I'm playing Firestaff Rapier, is going to give 5% light attack damage, which is really nice for the burst on Rapier. Not as great for the Firestaff, but if you play something like Musket, I see the allure of picking the Attuned Leather Pants for that reason 100%. But kind of like the Tumbler Boots, the big thing about the Attuned Leather Pants early on in this patch is that they're going to be very easy to get. You can get them by just completing the main story quest in Eden Grove, and yeah, they've completely revamped the area, so it'll be a journey to go through those, but I believe it's going to be a single player kind of focused quest, at least difficulty wise, so it shouldn't be something that people have too much trouble getting their hands on, just have to get through that quest line. But the absolute BIS, at least in my opinion, armor piece artifact wise, is going to be that Nimble Leather Coat. An additional 10% cooldown reduction on top of the 20% cap that you can get from refreshing, and then the focus on top of it, 35% cooldown reduction. It doesn't seem like a huge amount, but holy crap does it have a massive impact on how this build feels to play if you have a lot of additional cooldown reduction. So I'm playing on live right now with about 22% cooldown reduction, and I can definitely feel how often I can put my moves out, and that is so huge for Firestaff Rapier. I wanted to show off this clip here. This was in a previous video, but just the back-to-back Rapier combos that you can get here, that's 2 fleshes within 4 or 5 seconds of each other, and the evades and everything. I really, really think that the cooldown reduction for Rapier at least is going to be absolutely amazing. And the Nimble Leather Coat, man, it's tough for me to pick an artifact, at least armor-wise, that is going to outperform that one. But of course, the downside of the Nimble Leather Coat is that you get it from the PvP reward tracks, so it's very RNG dependent, and I'm not even sure how rare it is. I didn't see one myself on the PTR in my own PvP reward tracks. But it does also say you need to be rank 100 plus in order to get it in your reward track. I have heard rumors that this is not going to be the case, but if it is the case, it seriously limits who's going to be able to get this item. Since the Nimble Leather Coat is likely going to be BIS for a ton of different PvE builds as well, it means that PvE guys that want to get it are going to have to get to rank 100 in PvP and then roll the dice on actually getting the item. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens with the Nimble Leather Coat. Is it going to be an incredibly rare artifact because it is likely going to be the best armor one? I'm not sure. Now, the jewelry artifacts, I'll be totally honest, were kind of underwhelming. The earring wasn't half bad because of the additional burst healing that it gives, but I'll be totally honest, healing felt really low on the PTR, and this is something that I'm actually quite curious how good or bad healing is going to really feel at the end of the day, because we didn't have access to all the different healing power stuff that we could have had access to on the PTR. Things like Shirking Heals, the Healthy Toast perk, and of course the new potions that have come out too. So yeah, I don't know, none of the jewelry really stands out for me. Maybe if you want to play a tank build, that lifesteal one looks really nice, but for me on a damage spec, I am just gonna stick to general jewelry for now and see what comes out in the future for those artifacts. And now I wanted to talk about something that maybe I'm just being a little bit silly thinking that this will work. The Rapier versus the Fire Staff artifact. The Rapier artifact is going to add that additional damage when you bleed your opponent. You could put Keenly Jagged on your Rapier and on your off weapon, and just with the Keenly Jagged, you can get that additional damage boost from that bleed. I find this to actually be really nice because I don't like playing a blood kit on the Rapier. I'm definitely a Grace guy, and still having that Rapier work really well for a Grace kit is actually a nice thing. If you put Omnidirectional Evade on your gear, I can definitely see that being a good option. But hear me out, guys. What if I go for the Artifact Fire Staff? Yeah, I know what you're thinking, especially if you have taken a look at this Fire Staff before. It doesn't look like a very good artifact weapon from the get-go, but I think there's something that I definitely overlooked, and maybe other people have overlooked about this artifact too. You get 20% additional damage when you attack an opponent within 5 meters of you. This is pretty huge for anybody that plays Fire Staff like I do, because I play a very up-close Fire Staff playstyle, and I'm often landing a lot of my attacks within that 5-meter range, just kind of carpet bombing AoE on the ground to hit my opponents. Now, the one thing that I really didn't consider about this is Burnout. Burnout is arguably the hardest hitting burst move that Fire Staff has access to now, and this is going to give a 20% damage bonus to it, which there is no perk that gives Burnout a damage bonus. Maybe I'm crazy for wanting to try this, but I do genuinely think that a Burnout into something like a Fireball could be absolutely devastating with that new Fire Staff. Of course, you're going to want to put the Empowered Fireball on your armor if you can, but yeah, I see a lot of potential for it. And I get the argument that the Rapier bleed is just going to give you better damage all around, but then we'll have Omnidirectional Evade on the off Rapier for the full weapon damage perk, so we won't be losing a ton of damage on the Rapier. And the Fire Staff should definitely hit harder and consistently hit hard when I hit them with Burnout and any close range Fire Staff skills. So yeah, that's one where I would actually love to hear what you guys think about it, because maybe I'm just being dumb about this one, but it seems like such a good idea. That 20% damage bonus could even buff the damage from something like the Detonate rune. Maybe that was something that we haven't considered as well. So yeah, that could be one crazy Burnout bombing setup that is still very strong in just general combat as well. So I'm really excited to go and try it out. The Fire Staff is going to be kind of tricky to farm because I have to go and do the dungeon for it, and I suck at dungeons so hard, but at least I don't have to do the mutation dungeon. At least I don't think I have to. It just says that I have to be level 62, so hopefully that means that I should get it from doing the not so difficult content. And the Rapier is just going to be a drop from a world boss in New First Light, so there will likely be a lot of people farming it when the patch first comes out, so it should be a fairly easy artifact weapon to get your hands on. If you guys are on Marima, I will likely see you guys there. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay and some of my thoughts about these new artifacts. I know I've made 3 videos in a row just talking about artifacts, but they're that big of a deal for me. I don't know what to say. A big thank you to you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Of course, if you want to catch me live, I will be streaming again starting in the middle of this week, so hope to see you guys there. Have a great night, everyone, and I'll see you next time.